On the show, I'm so excited to have Mike McCarthy here with us. Mike is a AAA pitching coach for the Seattle Mariners, a former pre-med student. Mike's journey took him from Division III walk-on to Division I All-American before earning his master's degree and building a career in professional baseball. He has quite the story. We're going to dive into it today, but he's played and coached in 6 major league organizations, including the Boston Red Sox, Seattle Mariners, Atlanta Braves, Minnesota Twins, Oakland Athletics, and San Diego Padres. Did they change their name? The Oakland A's?
Yeah, they are.
Okay, all right.
The Athletics now.
Okay, we're not done with his bio. 1 second. And has worked with athletes on 6 continents. Through it all, Mike's passion has been helping people perform at their best while building lives defined by purpose, resilience, and character. Mike, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on.
I'm so excited to have you.
I'm excited to be here.
I have a few questions for you about baseball in general. I watch baseball here and there. Every time I watch baseball, I'm like, we're still going. Yeah. We're still in season. What is this preseason, postseason? Are we in the tournament? Where are we at? What makes the season so long, and why have they never shortened it?
Yeah, it's definitely a marathon season. We play 162 games in about 180 days.
Okay, but why?
Tell me about it.
Why?
I think the same thing sometimes.
Okay.
It started off as just like you play daily throughout the summer, and they continue to expand because there's more money to be made. And most teams get 25 to 30,000 people per game. In order to pay for these monster stadiums and these bigger contracts, you need more and more games. Okay. And so as they've continued to expand, the agreement is to keep the number of games because it's what the owners want. Okay. As they increase pay, the players say, hey, we'll take more pay as long as we get to continue to play. So the negotiation is going to come up actually end of this year for a new CBA. And it'll be a really interesting experience. So.
All right. I've always wondered that. Obviously, it is the professional sport that it has the longest season, correct?
Yeah, a long shot.
So I think people see opening day and assume that's when your job starts. And I don't think that's true. So walk us through what a year actually looks like for you. And when does the season really begin? When does it actually end? And how do you personally avoid burnout the whole season?
It never ends.
Okay. Thank you. I'm like, I don't think baseball ever ends.
It feels like sometimes. So most guys will start their off-season training kind of in the back end of October, early November timeframe, and they're going to be building up.
Wait, so you said back end training? So the season ends when?
Season will usually end in September for most teams, back end of September, early October. They'll take a couple weeks off and enjoy some family vacation, et cetera. And then they start training pretty much right away. So there's maybe a 3-week shutdown period, and they start building back. Pitchers more so than position players, but they'll start to go into like postural restoration and body recovery. Then they're going to start to look at any injuries they need to resolve, et cetera. Then they start building toward next year. So it's weightlifting, it's conditioning, it's motor patterns, postural positions, et cetera. As they move into December, they're going to start to throw more bullpens and start to build up. January is when they'll start to do live batting practice and more intense bullpens, which are practice sessions. And then we report to spring training. So Arizona and Florida, the 2 places in middle of February.
I did know that.
We play 25 to 30 games there. And then the season usually starts the last week of March. 162 games later, we decide that we're going to have some playoffs. And if you make it to the World Series, you've played almost 200 games in about a 250-day period.
So personally, I have worked with some AAA guys, just teaching them yoga, making sure that when they come into town that I know they have a long season. So I just try and make sure they have a good time. They're relaxed, we stretch, recover. But as a coach, you are a pitcher's coach, correct? We'll get into that in a minute. But how do you personally not burn out? Like you're on the road. You're basically playing 200 games too, to be honest, or, however many. Is there anything personally you do to make sure that you're prepared, that you're on point, that you are able to do your job to the best of your ability?
Yeah, I think like anything in life, we build systems. And so I build systems for my own personal, mental, and emotional health, and then also for how I approach the day for the players. So I have a process when I get to the ballpark of how I address yesterday's information. We have tons of data sets, whether it's biomechanics, data analytics, et cetera, we can look at. We can actually measure how the ball is moving in flight at hundreds of frames per second.
Yeah.
And understand exactly how it moves, and then like how it's moving right or left, up or down, the seam orientation, how the hitter's swinging, how close it was to the strike zone. There's tons of pieces. But you have to be able to take that down, like what's the actual piece for the player.
Yeah.
So you build systems there. And then off the field, basic stuff, eating well, sleeping well, exercise, et cetera. And try to make time for family. I've gotten to see family and friends on over 80% of our road trips this year. So It's been a blast. So kind of like off the field and on the field. But all I've ever known is baseball. I was 23 when I got drafted, and I'm 38 now. So this has been a lifestyle for a while.
Yeah. What's interesting to me through all sports, those 3 or 4 things never change: eating well, sleeping right, and then connection. And I just think that's so interesting that basically everything we do in life, we come back to those fundamentals. It doesn't matter what level you're at. You can be at the highest level, but those things never, ever change. With baseball, since you are on the road so much, and I'm sure you notice this with the guys, but do you feel like they play better when friends and family come out? Do you know when pitchers need to see friends and family? Like, is there something that you gauge for that? Or it's just, we just carry on and we do what we do? How do you approach that when, I know the season is long, being on the road is long. Is there a system for that? Or it's just get the guys together, we need to have a good time, we need to make sure that they connect with the people that they feel uplifted by?
Yeah. We tend to give the players a lot of autonomy to choose when family and friends comes in. We don't regulate that in any way. We encourage them to stay in touch with people. I'm constantly talking about life skills and more holistic things. These are all grown adults. Many of them have kids and they're married, they have mortgages, et cetera. So they're going through it. They're all in their 30s, some in their 20s, mid to late 20s. But I would say the big thing that I try to focus on is like, how do I reach them, reach their soul beyond the athlete? Like it's the person that matters. And the person's going to go eat well. The person's going to go sleep well. The person's going to be spiritually sound, connect to their family. The athlete is going to show up on the field, but the person is going to show up to the ballpark every day. And so one of the ways I try to do that is I use their locker as a metaphor and the locker room door as a metaphor. The locker room is where you put your family and friends. You put your phone, your wallet, et cetera. Close that door. We go and we do deep work. When we come back, we pull them back out. We address anything, texts, phone calls, pictures of your kids, whatever's coming up. But when you put them back in there, go do deep work. Be on the field. Be present with your work. Then the locker room door is the same thing, or the clubhouse door. When you walk out that door, you leave everything at the ballpark. When you show up with your family, your friends, your wife, your kids, et cetera, everything that you do outside the field is what matters the most in that moment. And it teaches guys to be present, be where 2 feet are. So one of the things that we find out through like psychosomatic relationships is that the more that we invest in the quality of the food that we eat, the more that we're present with the food we're eating. If we eat the same food driving down the road, just scarfing it down, versus we sit down and we appreciate the meal that we're eating, totally different experiences in terms of how the brain works. So that's one of the same things I do with players. I want them to be where their own 2 feet are and not be in other places at the same time. And in a world where everything's on our phone and we're constantly in other places instead of being where we are. Yeah. And that's somewhat of what makes like podcasting, things that's so unique, that we're present just in this moment, the 2 of us. Anywhere we go, most of the time we're distracted. We're on something else, reaching out to the people. So to bring it back around, like I think that most of the time the players do their very best when they're constantly bringing it back to like be where your own 2 feet are. And I think that's true of people in society as a whole.
I agree. Thanks for bringing that up. That is something, honestly, that I feel like I've been needing to work on. I have been all over the place, and I'm so grateful for these opportunities and new life events. But I have found myself scattered and trying to manage all of the things. So I'm glad you said that. I'm going to take that with me today. Okay. So be honest. How many days a year do you actually have where you're not thinking about baseball? You said be where your feet are, but most of the time your feet are in baseball at some point or another. But you said something funny. You said when you're not doing baseball, usually other parts of your life don't really have anything to do with baseball, right? So how many days out of the year do you feel like that actually is?
Probably 75 to 100 days a year. Okay. Baseball is not really, I coach baseball, and it's my profession. I do deep work in that space. But when I leave and I go trail running in the mountains, or I go on a backpacking trip, or I go overseas, I really don't think about baseball much. Okay. I think that surprises people.
I think it's great because you get anything that you can step away from and then come back to. I feel like you always get a better perspective, and everyone needs a break.
Yeah, and I think diversity is huge. I didn't come through high school and in college as a baseball guy. I was a Division III pre-med student, hoping to go to medical school and help people just save lives. Like
That's
all I wanted to do. Baseball was like a hope, that I could play for a few years in Division III.
Okay.
And then it turned into me being a Division I walk-on and mowing lawns for a year and packing out trash. And then it turned into me being a horrible junior year player. But then my senior year took off and turned into All-American, got drafted. I had no idea that was coming. So I think I learned to not be a baseball guy for a long time, even though I was working hard. What I learned was work ethic, and anything I touch, I just work hard at. And so that tends to be the area that I focus on. And so baseball just happens to be what I do for a living. Okay. But deep work is what I do in my life.
Okay. Well, let's rewind. Did you hear what he said? Any athlete who maybe has the hope that they can perform at that high level. Your story's so neat because it wasn't your whole goal. I think we always just hear a lot of stories where they were that all-star guy, they were the high school standout, and then they make it, and everyone kind of expected that. Did anyone in your life expect you to play baseball, or everyone was just always like, we hope you can make it, but I don't know.
I think you have, when you're younger, like,
it's like a dream, like maybe.
Teammates, parents are like, oh, you're going to make it. You're amazing. And they encourage you. And I appreciate that. Like, you have high expectations, high sport. There's huge high sport. But I don't think anybody had the high expectations I would make it to the major leagues or play professional baseball by any means.
Was there anything like in your soul that was like, I know I'm supposed to do this? Or it was just like you kept working and it happened?
Yeah. I didn't think the draft was even an option. So you get drafted into Major League Baseball and you join an organization. So the Red Sox drafted me in 2011. I don't think I had any thought that was going to happen until maybe 2 months before it happened.
Oh my gosh. So
I was in the middle of my senior season.
Are you a pitcher, right? Make sure. Okay. And you're a pitching coach. So I'm assuming that you are a pitcher. Okay. Yeah. Right-handed, left-handed?
Right-handed.
Okay.
Yeah. Left-handed, I might still be playing. So. Okay. Right-handed's a dime a dozen. Lefties are unique. So
I keep hearing that. And why? Yeah. Is it just because it's a different angle, right?
Yeah, and scarcity, right? Uniqueness. Okay. So our brains are highly myelinated. So you can imagine just like in fighting or anything else, like a pattern of behavior that another fighter has. You're like, oh, I've seen this before. Yeah. You watch it on film. You watch it in other competitions. You're like, oh, I know what they're going to do here. Yeah. The same thing. If it's left-handed, it just happens 15% of the time. Right hand is 85% of the time. Okay. And so that's kind of your split in professional baseball is like 80-20, 85-15. Right. So it's just more rare.
Okay, I didn't know that. That's awesome. I'm learning so much today. Okay, so you get drafted. At that point, you were going to college, or this was after?
It was after. Yeah, I spent 2 years at a Division III school, University of Redlands. Okay. Walked on for a year at Cal State Bakersfield, then got on the team the next year, played 2 years, and then got drafted. So, yeah, fifth year senior.
So you're like, holy shit, I'm playing now. And then what happens? You're just off and you're doing all your baseball things. And how long did you play for? How did it go?
Yeah, you're on random buses in random towns and, in Massachusetts and New York and all over the place. Yeah. And I had no idea it was coming. You don't know what to expect. You're just used to being a grinder. And I mean, the number of buses I've sat on is absurd to think about, but it's hilarious. But you stay in random Motel 6s with, another roommate. You're trying to sleep on an air mattress in an apartment with 3 other guys, like the classic minor league stories. And the industry's gotten so much better now. The guys are taken care of and treated more fairly. But we were making $4 or $5 grand a year for 6 months worth of work, and you still had to cover housing costs and food off the field. So the idea of being good with nutrition or quality sleep was like so archaic compared to what we were doing. So
that misconception of even in like AAA or AA, or you get drafted that like you're set and you're on your way and everything's great, like getting taken care of and paid. I think that's a huge misconception that people have. And same with fighting, just because you become a professional fighter, you honestly are not making like that much money, even as an amateur, like all of that. It's such a grind until you actually
What does that look like for fighters?
I think same thing. I mean, you're in grind mode, you're working, you get signed, but usually like you get paid to fight and then you get paid if you win, but those numbers drastically change. Obviously, the more fights you have, your contract. So you'll see newer people in the PFL or the UFC, and it's still the same thing. Like they haven't quite made it. Like they've made it, but I feel like that's just when the real work starts. You know, you have to work 100 times harder just to keep going because now the people are better and all of those things. So
athletics is kind of an extreme version of entrepreneurship, right? Like
I agree.
You eat what you kill.
Yeah.
And there are some people who make life-changing money that they get to sit on that.
Yeah.
It's incredibly rare. It's a very small sliver of people. The majority are fighting for their food every single day.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the most important things that we forget.
Yeah.
Just like any entrepreneur or person in sales, et cetera. And to a certain extent, I think that's one of the shortcomings of the sports environment and the youth side right now is that I think it's important to encourage behavior, hard work, camaraderie, teamwork early on. There's a point in time where we transition to competition and to be able to compete and to be able to say, like, I'm going to win. I'm going to find a way.
Yeah.
And I think that we've lost that bit of transition period. And we see that delay when we get players now in professional baseball. It's very similar. They don't have that eat what you kill mentality. They don't have that independence and autonomy and drive that takes them there. They're motivated and they have work ethic, but the resiliency, I would say, is continuing to shrink. Their ability to take bumps and bruises and to hit obstacles and say, I'm going to push through. So, a bit of Stoic philosophy, but like the obstacle is the way. I would say the deterrence is much faster than I remember in previous generations, especially compared to when I was playing my first few years coaching and then more recently.
Interesting. That's extremely interesting. Do you feel like that's just the team sports mentality? I think like fighting, I've always used to, I mean, you're a team training, but it's you, when you're in there. For the most part, it's solo. And so I've had to learn that. But with baseball, you said, they're coming from this team mentality. And then when it's their time to you have to perform because your job is on the line, there is a next guy coming up that's going to take your spot on the team. So you were saying you feel like you see the independence go down just because they're used to being a team mentality. Now at this level, you're like, no, you got to perform. Like at the most, it's not your team, like it's you. And we'll win as a team, but... Yeah.
I have some friends that are performance psychologists. It'd be interesting to ask them. But I think like the individual sport, like in fighting, if you want to just participate, you get your butt kicked. And like that kind of sucks. So,
to say the least.
In youth sports, in the team environment, it's pay to play. And so as long as you're willing to fork over $1,000 a month to pay for baseball, you get to play, right? And you just buy your way onto it. And you buy the uniform and you take the pictures and it goes on Instagram. But in fighting, I imagine it's much different. A friend of mine, his son does BJJ and he's 11 and he loves it. Yeah. But it's eat what you kill. Yeah. And so I'd be curious how sports have really shifted in the maturation of each player.
Me too. That is interesting.
At the AAA level and Major League level, there's a bit of like independent contractor mentality that comes about because they've cycled around from team to team. Maybe 20% of our guys are homegrown at this point in AAA on our team right now. That means 80% of them have experiences from 29 other teams that they've brought into our clubhouse and onto our team. So building that team culture can be really difficult. Whereas in college, you bring everyone in from around it, but everyone funnels into it. Yeah. And this is one of my random rants, but like, I think this is where our society, we used to conform to society. When you had a radio show on or a TV show, you had to be on at 6 o'clock, channel 12 and to watch it. And if you didn't watch it, you went to school the next day and you
missed it.
Yeah. Like, where were you at? What were you thinking?
What were you doing?
You were out playing in the backyard. Why? Like, my dad's generation, like that same thing. You had a radio show you listened to. Now, if my nephew's 4.5, if he wants to watch a certain episode of Bluey and he wants to watch specifically Bluey, it's like, what do you want to watch? Oh, Bluey. Okay, what episode? This one. Yeah. Okay, no, fast forward. I don't like this part. He gets to curate the world to him. Yeah. And I think there's an egocentrism that has shifted in our society that probably takes away from team sports and the mentality of we are part of the greater collective. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country mentality. And I think that same thing in terms of the team. And we see that a lot coming out in baseball for sure. And I'm sure every sport.
Do you feel like with NIL deals in college, that's also contributing? Because now you're getting paid to play much younger. And I don't know, have we seen any of those guys in baseball come up to major leagues at this point that are like does it work in baseball too? Like NIL deals? I've only seen it in basketball and football, so I don't know that much if it's happening in baseball.
In college for sure, and there's guys who are getting paid a lot of money to do that.
Okay. Have you seen those guys come up yet? Have we seen those guys come up yet?
Yeah, start to trickle into the professional baseball for sure, and starting to get to the major leagues. Okay. The Major League Baseball's always had it, right? They had specific sponsorships, Mizuno or Nike or anybody else.
Yeah.
Probably the most extreme example is going to be like Ohtani. Okay. Ohtani makes more on his endorsements than he does on his contract. And his contract, it's deferred, but it's $70 million a year. So he's making $2 million a year now, and then in 10 years, he makes $68 million a year. For 10 years straight. Oh my God. So, but his endorsements are much higher than his actual contract. LeBron went through the same thing in basketball. Yeah. And I don't know other sports like where that line is at in golf or fighting, but a lot of people are making more money on their endorsements than they are on their actual contracts, which is deeply ironic because it never used to be that way. In college sports, for the longest time, you didn't make anything. You're a poor college student.
You didn't. You made nothing.
Making tons of money for these colleges. Yeah. So the players are starting to have their day in terms of making money back. And so the colleges are like running as a nonprofit. They're tax advantaged. There's some elements of this that are kind of controversial. I do think that that it is taking away from the team environment. I also can't help but say, like, I remember what it was like to be a college student. Yeah. We were making money for the school. We were marketing the school. The number one marketing arm for any university is athletics. And you think about, like, nobody knows about Notre Dame except for because of the football team. So I think there's an interesting contrast that's gone on. And I don't know where I land on it. And I don't think I have one point in time. Okay. But it's interesting to kick that back and forth for sure.
Yeah, that's what I was just wondering, since we were talking about team mentality. I don't think we've seen a lot of those guys that have gotten paid very well to play in college, and they're set and then come up and play. Anyways, that was
I think that most of those athletes that I've seen, at least on the baseball side, can't speak for other sports, but they do have a work ethic that comes out on the field. Whether they're making $500,000 or making $5, they don't care. They're coming out and they're busting their butt to be the best they can be. And so awesome. I haven't seen a separation of that. I've heard about stories in basketball and football. Baseball, I haven't seen that much. So
awesome.
No.
Okay. Interesting. We'll have to keep watching that. Yeah. We've talked a lot about team, and I want to talk more about you, if you're okay with that. Sure. You've coached at the highest level around the world, which is amazing. What's one moment that had nothing to do with baseball that completely changed how you lead people?
As I think about this question, like, I am always curious about how to answer it. It's because the common theme that I come around, there's two stories that come to mind. One is, like, I was in college and I became the president of the Student Athlete Advisory Committee. So I was overseeing the student athletes as the president of like 300 student athletes, talking to the president, the provost, the athletic director on a regular basis. Had no business being in those rooms because I had no clue what I was doing. But I just, they're like, hey, you do it. And I was like, oh God, here we go. But I talked to my coach. My college coach did not care about community service. That was not his thing. Okay. But I said, hey, I really think this would be good for team bonding and we could like pull guys together. And this has some baseball relevance, but not a ton. I said, I think it's important guys learn altruism and to give back and service to other people beyond themselves. And that's what a team is, right? Like putting the team above you. And then community can do that. So we did this Martin Luther King Day of Service, got the community service center, put buses together, we load guys onto it, and they are livid. It's like 6 a.m, it's cold. They're like, screw this guy, I hate Mac, like he's such a jerk. Like they more choice words than that. But yeah.
I feel like this is how every community service project starts. Everyone's like, what are we doing?
They're just pissed, like groggy-eyed, all that stuff. And I mean, just the number of FU chants I was getting, I think, from the back of the bus is great. So we go out, we go into downtown Bakersfield. We are cleaning up different streets and alleyways, et cetera, volunteering, painting fences, graffiti, et cetera, just doing the thing. The guys that came to me within the next 3 to 4 days, as much as they hated that day, like, that was pretty cool, Mac. Yeah. Thanks, man. And then they started like open up a little bit. And you could see the team just had a different sense of gratitude for what they were given. That was like my first experience with like true altruism from the college side. And then when I got to pro ball, I knew I wanted my career to mean something more than just baseball. I didn't want to be a guy just threw a 5-ounce ball at a guy with a stick, tried to hit it. So I got involved with this group called Baseball Miracles. And we traveled overseas to Kenya, South Africa, Honduras, and like took baseball overseas. And I still remember being there in Kenya, and we were at this orphanage that has a school attached to it. We're there, we show up, and we get to meet the kids, like spend time with them. We're totally in some baseball, but like we're really just volunteering at the compound, at the orphanage, spending time with them. And we came back a year later, and 10% of the kids had died just from malnutrition.
Yeah.
But I realized I was like, whoa, it just shocked my life. But I remember seeing the joy in each one of the kids' faces. They're surrounded by death. There's literally above ground burials that are going on across the field near their school. And yet they had so much joy and love and excitement. And I thought to myself, man, I need to bring more of that.
Yeah.
I need to bring more sense of gratitude and appreciation for the daily things I have and the excitement of like, I'm blessed. I'm just grateful that I'm on this earth. I'm grateful that I'm walking, talking, and breathing.
Yeah.
And those moments have made me a better leader, not because of more analytical knowledge or organizational leadership theory, but because of just gratitude.
Yeah.
Showing up more, being more present, more joyful, and more excited to be there, to be present and empathize with guys. And so that's always stood out to me.
I love that. And I do think it's an important lesson to learn. I actually went over to Haiti. It's been a few years. When a lot of the earthquake stuff happened, I went over there on a service mission, and it completely changed my life. They are so grateful for everything that they have, and it's like absolutely nothing. And they are just happy to be there and alive and with their people and doing what they do. So I feel like anytime you can get a chance to go on service missions or do that kind of work, it's so important. It really does just change you as a person. So I love that. You talk a lot about purpose and mentorship. Who believed in you before you believed in yourself, and how has that helped shape you as a coach today? Like you said, you didn't really think you'd play baseball, but you had some good mentorship. And who was that person, and how has that helped you today?
We'd be here for a long time. I tried to list everybody off, and tragically, like, the names I've even forgotten. But I think my dad, for sure, in his own right, like he was very stern, very tough man, but like he believed in me to be my very best. That's why he pushed me. That's why he was stern and tough. A therapist I went to, David Harrell, went to over a decade of therapy, and David was like, took the trauma and struggle I had early on in life, and instead of allowing it to become a scapegoat or a reason why I couldn't, it became motivation and a possibility why I could. And so he was a therapist, but almost like an executive coach, where he's helping build into like, cool, what's the solution? How can we use that for advantage? Telling me where to go instead of where not to go. Solutions over problems. And I use this a lot with our players now. I had coaches when I was younger. I mean, Dan Tuck, when I was 9 years old, and I had no idea. I just couldn't even figure out how to pick my nose, I'm sure. And he like had me on the major league team. So you're like 12, all the 11 and 12-year-olds. It's a big deal. And but Dan always pushed me and would stay after if I wanted to hit a little bit more. And he would say, "No, get over here. Like, we're gonna hit some more," because he could see what I was going through at home and the struggle with my mom and the struggle with my home life, and that he could see that baseball was going to be my outlet. And Dan was not a soft man, but Dan knew at least showing up was a way of caring about somebody. Even if it felt stern, even if it felt tough and like rigid, it still was a blanket of, I care about you, that I was needing. And then my coach in college, Bill Kernan, like brought the best in all of us. And he's a descendant from Augie Garrido and Cal State Fullerton and these like huge college programs. And Bill he pushed me. He said, "No, that's not good enough," and was constantly saying, "What else are you capable of?" And seeing what I could pull out of myself. And so I physically was not the most gifted player. I didn't have any idea of what I was doing in the weight room, the gym, et cetera. But also nutrition and sleep, everything was horrible, and not doing it how I would do it now.
I would say that was not like a super important factor, maybe even like 8 years ago. Totally. It's just grown so much that it's very important, and you really need to focus on this. So, I don't think it's your fault.
But his thoughts around grit and resiliency, were world class. And it's taught me so much about believing myself. Like, hey, if you want to make something happen, the person has to believe the most is you. Like, if you don't believe, nobody can. And I can't tell you how many times I've told that story and shared that narrative with so many players. And it's made a world of difference because you have to look yourself in the mirror every day and show up for yourself. Yeah.
And other people's beliefs is amazing, and it can carry you and take you to a certain spot, but you will go the furthest when you know it's you and you have a mission or a purpose. You're just always going to perform better.
What about you? So. You've been through a lot of struggle and challenges. Like, who believed in you? This is interesting because I was thinking about this when you were talking about that. Fighting was never a thing. So when I wanted to fight, it was like, what are you doing? You know, it was like kind of embarrassing, or like, why would you even want to do this? But I do feel like it's just one of those God-given gifts that I just knew, like I was supposed to do this, and no one could like deter me from it. I was always very athletically gifted, but mentally I had to work on so many things. I had to work on self-belief, and fighting is that thing that I don't really put the stamp on. You were thinking correctly. This is what you were supposed to do. You knew it. It was scary, but it's just something that I always knew that I was supposed to do. And I really had to convince people this is what I was supposed to. Like my parents, you know, they were supportive and they loved me, so loving and kind. But like, ooh, why are you doing this? You know, which is fine. It really wasn't a thing. Right. But that self-belief was really what took me here, to be honest. I think some of the undertones I heard in your podcast, your book, is like the fighting is actually a metaphor for what you were doing in life, right? At an early age. Yeah. And it just became a physical representation of what you were doing mentally, emotionally for a long time. Yeah.
Like you said, how just showing up for sports maybe wasn't, you know, you weren't always thinking maybe you would go extremely far, but just showing up every day and that grit and that resiliency that you were talking about, I think was a lot of coaches' mentality, because that's how it was for so long. And then I do think coaches like you have, you know, brought in those other pieces because you knew it was important. You knew, you know, connection, having a bigger purpose, community, nutrition, sleep. We all know those things contribute to resiliency now. And so I think it's awesome that you're able to take, you know, the tough lessons that men taught you, because that's all that they knew. But then you're able to I did go to therapy and I'm cool with that. And I learned so much through therapy, how to be a better person, which made you be a better coach and a mentor to all these guys now. And I think it's just amazing that you're able to take all those things that you learned, but then, you know, you learned so much more and combined it into this beautiful package that you deliver now. And I already know your guys are so lucky to have you. Like 20 minutes of meeting you, I'm like, yeah, you'd be a really good coach. So this is awesome. I loved talking with you. I appreciate that. Okay, so you blend biomechanics, analytics, and mental performance. When those three things seem to conflict, which one usually tells the truth?
I think it's kind of the foundation of what makes for a good coach, right? Is like, I think like the psychosomatic relationship is really important, but then where I try to assess a player at is I'm going to look at the mental, physical, and emotional pieces of where they're at. So the biomechanics being the physical, the data analytics being the strategic, and then the mental performance being the more emotional. And there's a bit of a triad there that we work on. And then, as you noted in your book, there's like the spiritual side as well. Like when those are in alignment, they work really well. When there's a problem, it's more about assessing like where is the issue, right? So I oftentimes use car analogies because everyone drives, for most people at least. So if your RPMs are too high and you're like, man, the car is working way too hard to do 70 miles an hour on the highway. Yeah. And you say, okay, what is it? Is the reason? Is it the tires are low on pressure? Is it the alignment's off? Is it something's wrong with the engine? Is it the emergency brake is on? Like, what is the reason that that's happening? Why is the engine having to work harder to do the same amount of work that you're used to be able to do? I'm constantly assessing where the player's at on that triad. And if I can hone in on one area of that usually becomes the area that I put the most time into. But then I'll pull in other pieces from the other side because it's never just one issue. It's a dynamic system at play. Yeah. But if I know if I tell a player like, hey, you just got to like really focus, like control the controllables, like stay on you. Yeah. And it turns out like his lead leg block, which is a big piece of like ground force for a pitcher, is off, or the timing of his arm swing, like, oh, well, that was actually the issue. And I told him it was a mental issue, it was actually a physical issue. Yeah. So now he knows he's fighting himself subconsciously. Like, I know there's something else wrong. I don't know why. And that's getting back to the car analogy, we're running too many RPMs. And I'm like, man, why is this car not going? And suddenly we've all had this moment like, oh, shoot, the e-brake's on. Like, and you take off. You're like, wow. That was such a relief. Yeah, it feels like you're on a Mach 1 as soon as the e-brake comes off. For a player, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
They're going through the same piece. So like we're looking for these little unlocks where they just become bound up and just like anything else. And so I'm always looking to assess that side of it. I don't know if there's any one area I lean to the most. It's more the ability to have knowledge in all of them.
Yeah.
And I think so many coaches, at least in baseball world, get stuck in one space.
Okay.
They're a mental performance coach. And they focus on the mentality. They have no clue about biomechanics. Or they know biomechanics, but they have no clue about the data analytics and the strategy piece and their inability to apply it. They can't bring the dynamic system together. And I think that's the holy grail of coaching for sure.
I agree. Yeah. Bringing everything together to make a whole person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Perform their best.
Yeah. One of my favorite analogies is like people have had children. And I say like, hey, your son or daughter has a stomach ache. And you say, okay, like, did they eat bad food? So it's a physical issue. Or is it like they're stressed because mom is leaving for a week and they know every time she packs her bag, she's leaving and they might have a stomach ache either way. They're crying and throwing a temper tantrum. Like, cool, are they short on sleep, food? Like, what is it? Do they poop their pants? Like, have they not eaten? Like, is it a physical or a mental issue? Like you're going to see that. We do that with children so well, but we struggle to do that with adults. And I think that's where I look at athletes. Hopefully they're not pooping their pants, but like we make the very best of it all.
Past that. You never know though. Wasn't there just like an outbreak with like our fruits and vegetables that is giving everyone like explosive diarrhea?
We luckily passed that in the clubhouse. We didn't have any issues.
Good. I'm glad that's not an issue for you guys. Okay.
It's an interesting way to bring that up, though.
I know, right?
Hey everybody, we had an issue in the clubhouse.
Okay. Have you ever had an athlete who had all the physical talent in the world, but the mental side kept them from reaching their potential?
Tons.
Baseball is so mental, I feel like. With any baseball guy that I've ever met, just knowing how long their season is, I think that's one thing that I've heard is, or just like seeing or that they've talked about, is the mental fortitude that it takes to go through baseball seasons, games, every day you're playing for 4 hours. How long are baseball games?
Yeah, usually 2.5, 3 hours for most games. But like you have practice for like 3 to 4 hours before that.
Yeah.
So most of your day is 7 hours. You have weightlifting on top of that, all that stuff. Yeah, it's long days.
So why though?
Tell me. Bunch
of crazies. Still just like, why are we making this so long?
What's interesting about it is the baseball is kind of like probably closer to the everyday common person than something like football, right? Football is this really unique thing. Once a week, you go out and you do for this 3-hour period, this 3-hour block that you're building toward, and it's like, boom, we hit that big window. Yeah. Baseball is like a daily occurrence of just like 1% better, 1% better. Okay. And you do it over and over. And you think about everyday people, every single day you get up, you put your clothes on, you go to work, you try to be a little bit better. You show up with your family, your friends at night, like whatever it is that you're doing, whatever your day consists of, it's building to be 1% better the next day, 1% better the next day. Yeah. The irony in that is that we all fall into the mundane. We all drift and we drift away from what are our core principles. If we look at ourselves and say like, what is it that I would want to do if I was going to realign my life? We look back 2 years like, God, I wish that I'd done this. We look back 6 months like, man, I wish that I'd been working harder at that. We all drift into that. And whether that's like getting out of shape and gaining weight, whether it's losing muscle mass, whether it's poor sleep, it's our relationships. Like how do marriages go from love to drifting into roommates, divorce. Right? Yeah. Like how do we lose in terms of sex or intimacy or dating our partner? Like we all say at the beginning, like date your partner for a lifetime. Oh, I will date you for the rest of my life. I promise. And then a year down the road, you're like, man, like when was the last date we went on? Cool. Like I remember flowers 8 months ago. Thanks. Appreciate that. Whatever that might be. We all drift. So baseball is the same way. Like, and we're constantly trying to help guys. Like, how do we get them 1% better today? How do we bring that sense of urgency to grow? And that's, I think, one of the holy grails around baseball that's so unique around it. Whereas football has this massive buildup to like, boom, this huge 3-hour period. And then it comes down and you do it again. And they talk about this with Olympians. It's a 4-year buildup. Yeah. And they have championships, once a year, every other year. But that 4-year build-up to this huge event, baseball's the opposite. It like couldn't be farther from that. And so I think it's probably more applicable to everyday people. Okay. I've never thought about it like that, actually. You're teaching me so much today. So is that maybe why
baseball's so American just because so many people can relate. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of all the baseball sayings that I hear and then maybe how that all works together. Yeah. But, all right.
I don't know.
I'm going to think about
that.
Question. Okay. We have made it to our rapid fire section.
Okay.
Don't think about these too much. Okay.
I'm known for underthinking. Don't worry.
I highly doubt it. Okay. Here we go. Sunflower seeds or gum?
Sunflower seeds.
Okay. If you were to chew gum, what would it be?
Trident.
Okay. Do you see most guys chew gum or sunflower seeds?
Gum.
Okay. Like Bubblicious is a big league chew?
I don't know what it is. They're in the clubhouse. Okay. But like macro giant bucket of random gum.
Awesome. I
Great
love
for
that.
your teeth. Your dentist loves it.
Yep, I'm sure. Your all-time favorite baseball movie? I haven't watched a lot, so I don't even know.
No.
What is the...
It's got to be Bull Durham. I mean, Bull Durham's pretty minor league.
I've never even heard of it.
Kevin Costner was making like a series of like 3 or 4 baseball movies for years.
Okay.
And there's this classic dynamic between him and Susan Sarandon, and like it's really neat. He's like the classic AAA guy that's there forever. And,
okay.
It's pretty cool. It's got some fun moments and some good one-liners.
I'll have to watch it.
Yeah.
I was hoping you were going to say where he breaks his arm and then he can pitch really fast. Do you know what I'm talking about? Rookie of the Year?
Rookie of the Year, yeah.
That's the only one I know, and I loved it. It was so good.
Comes back throwing 100. Yeah,
right?
It's 12 years old. It's great.
Okay. Most superstitious player you've coached, and were you superstitious?
I couldn't tell you. I don't know that I have one where I think of who's super.
Anyone that was like, ooh,
heavy
he really has this routine he's got to do.
No, I mean, there's some guys that like, wear the same underwear. There's some guys that won't wear underwear.
Oh, boy.
Too much information. I don't know. You tell me. But some
with
guys
the new
won't
pants, though, wasn't there like a huge ordeal that like the pants were kind of see-through?
It made for some provocative moments, yeah.
I remember this. That's what I hear about
there's
baseball.
Definitely guys not wearing like, boxers because they're like, all right, screw it. I'm going to go like no socks, no boxers. Like I can't get a hit right now.
All right.
They're trying some, but probably Wade Boggs had one where he ate a bucket of chicken every day for a game because that was his thing and it just worked. So I don't know.
Were you superstitious?
Not really.
Is there like one little thing that you're
guys
like, I have
to
do this?
Mac, what was your walkout song? Like when you pitch stuff, you're so good in college. Like, I don't know.
Did they have walkout songs then? Or is it like a new thing?
I mean, I didn't play in the 30s. Yeah, we had walkout songs.
No, I didn't know. I obviously haven't been to a lot of baseball games. Okay,
so we did,
my last question, my last rapid fire, walk-up song you'd secretly choose today. Maybe not even a secret. Just
Hypnotized by Biggie.
Oh, it's a classic. Always. This has been a big debate on my Instagram lately. Batman or Spider-Man?
I saw this on your Instagram. I'm definitely in agreement. Batman over Spider-Man.
Okay. All right. It's okay if you're not. It's fine.
We're not shaming. It's good.
Have you seen the new Spider-Man movie?
I
haven't either.
If there's a new Batman one, I'm sure I'd see it.
Me too. I really would, though. They keep making Spider-Man, and I'm like, how many Spider-Man movies are we going to make?
Yeah.
We need a new Batman. Closing question. I ask everybody this. When people remember Mike McCarthy 20 years from now, what's something you hope they say that has nothing to do with baseball?
Mike made me a better person.
I love that.
Yeah. It has very little to do with baseball. Like, hopefully a better player, but most importantly, a better person.
Yeah.
Like, we walk, talk, and breathe in our lives, interact with the world around us, go home to our families, but like, just do we leave the world better than we found it? And that's a grounding principle that we can all relate to, and I hope that I do that for the people around me.
Where can people find you? In his bio, I didn't mention this, but he does corporate speaking, keynote speaking, executive leadership, consulting. So where can people find you? What are your handles? Is it something you do every year off season? Give us all things you. How do we contact you?
No, I appreciate it. It's so Instagram's the easiest one. McCarthy Performance Consulting is the easiest. And I do a lot of high school and college mentoring, public speaking, especially with youth groups. I think like my calling beyond what I do on the baseball field is to help young men. And I'm really passionate about like the high school to college range where I think we've lost a lot of mentors and guiding lights. And so put a lot of time and effort into that. And then I do one-on-one consulting for athletes. And mentoring programs. And so it's been a lot of fun. So yeah, awesome. McCarthy Performance Consulting is the easiest place to reach me.
Okay. You heard him. Go check him out. He's awesome. Thank you so much for coming today. Cool. I learned so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks so much for stopping by the show this week. Next week will be a solo episode, and we'll see you next time.